ladies and gentlemen, this is Dumb Orange 927 back again for another video. And here today, guys, I want to kind of give my thoughts and reviews about work with me, please. But we are going to be doing a movie review of Transformers: The Last Night. So yeah, Transformers: The Last Night is the fifth Transformers movie in the Transformer franchise, once again directed by Michael Bay, starring Mark Wahlberg, and I don't even know where to start. Well, let's just start out of the way. Is it a bad movie? Depends what your definition of bad is. It's everything you would expect a Michael Bay movie to have. You know, constant explosions, really pointless and senseless humor, a lot of like racial and sexual jokes. What else? Did I miss explosions? Did I miss explosions? Like, I need to make sure I'm not missing that. Let's see, what else? It has occasionally the Transformers, and yeah, that's about it. Congratulations, you basically made through this entire film. Pretty much, though, okay, in all seriousness, all joking aside, it was actually decent. Like, it was better, I guess, than I would expect it to be, kind of. Like, I was hoping the film would be incredible, but I was expecting it to kind of suck. And basically, it still sucks, but it doesn't suck as bad as I thought it would. Basically, if I classified it within my Transformers ranking list, it's better. It's definitely better than Revenge of the Fallen. And I do personally like it better than Age of Extinction because, oh my gosh, I'll just wait till I get to the Age of Extinction review and then we'll, work with that. But this movie, it's better than those, but I don't think it's up to par to either the first movie or even Dark of the Moon. Like, as convoluted as Dark of the Moon was, it at least had the sense of scale, and it did have quite a lot of screen time with the Transformers themselves, so yeah, I don't think that this movie is up to there. It's kind of like the mid of my ranking. Like, it's not, like, it's down in the middle. It's not my least favorites, but it's not my favorites either. It's just, I would consider the film watchable because at the very least it does offer fun action sequences, as well as the voice acting for the Transformers is still really nice. Like, I'm actually one of the few people that like the casting choices upon the Transformers themselves and what they, like, the performances that they give to each of them. Like, Peter Cullen as Optimus, Frank Welker as Megatron, the performances for Hound, Drift. Even though half of them I don't like their characters, I'm just saying their performances were pretty nice. Easily the standouts for me in terms of the level of quality that each person provided, well, easily the best was Hot Rod and Cogman. They were easily the best parts of this movie. Like, anything to do with Anthony Hopkins' character, or Cogman, which was basically the butler robot, or Hot Rod, it's just fun. It's like, I never get tired of seeing them on screen. While I was also a big fan of all the medieval stuff to do with the knights and I was a big fan of that, and Stanley Tucci did a pretty dang good job playing Merlin. Like, as cringy as it was hilarious about his scene about the whole thing when pleading to the knights for help. Like, I'll give up anything, money, drinks, what? Like, he was about to say woman and then just like drinks and money, and I'm like, yep, that's funny because it's so relatable. No, believe me, society is that pathetic. But yeah. But that's kind of as far as like goes. Like, honestly, what do I think of Mark Wahlberg's performance as Cade Yeager? I like it better than Age of Extinction, honestly, because like the thing about this one is he's actually trying to be his own person, I guess. Like, in Age of Extinction, he just keeps kind of make up like, I'm an inventor, I'm an inventor, I'm an inventor, I gotta do this so I can invent this and whatever, and it's like, no offense, buddy, you're not gonna be that, like, and that's only mentioned once in this movie, and, you know, it was only once, so it wasn't, like, too annoying. Like, I was still kind of rolling my eyes when I heard him say it, but at least it was tolerable. It wasn't like anything where I'm like, oh my freaking gosh, like, bro, stop it. It was just kind of like, okay, we don't need to hear this, but I digress. The actress who did Vivian, she was actually probably one of the better parts of the movie as well, because she's basically Cade Yeager's new, like, love interest, and she's like the professor or whatever, you know, the one who's like talking all that, like, you know, when all seems lost, a few brave souls can save everything, like, oh my gosh. But pretty much though, she did a fairly decent job. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna say that, like, I'm gonna say, oh my gosh, she was absolutely incredible in every way, but she did a good job with the material she had to work with, and honestly, a lot of her character moments were kind of funny. Like, I did run into humor in this one, where I actually did laugh. I actually did, like, laugh at some of the jokes in this, like, even if they were offensive, because I'm one of those few people where it's like, I don't care as much about it being offensive. I'm not gonna feel guilty for laughing at it just because it might be offensive. Like, if it's funny, I'm gonna laugh. If it's not funny, well, then I'm just not gonna laugh. And that's what this film kind of got right. Like, there were some jokes that actually did make me kind of chuckle a little, but there was others where I was just kind of like, okay then. So there's that. Anthony Hopkins, like I said, did great for Sir Patrick, I believe his name was. He did a fairly good job. Like, I could tell he was just having fun with the movie, in the sense that, like, he wasn't taking things all too seriously, but ironically, that actually did work in the film's favor, though, because it's like, he's so over the top, but it's what makes him funny, I guess, and, you know, it just works. Like, honestly, most of the human characters I actually didn't have much of a problem with. Like, the military guy, I don't remember his name, but you know the one who appeared in the original Transformer trilogy, the army guy, he was also pretty good, because he captured that moment where he was kind of this middle ground between the guys that hated the Transformers and the guys that were kind of secretly wanting to help them, and he was just trying to clarify to the TRF, like, hey, not all of these Transformers are bad guys, like, you know, some are actually good. And the fact that he fit pretty well in the movie. Like, I'm not gonna lie when I say he didn't really get much to do in the movie, but he did, at the very least, It was just nice to see him, if nothing else. We also get to see Agent Simmons again, played, I try to forget that, but yeah. Agent Simmons comes back briefly. He really was just useless, but whatever, nice cameo, I guess. And, that's about it. Now, like, the characters that annoyed me, the human characters, honestly, mostly it came down to the girl and the guy at the junkyard. Like, first off, let's start with the girl, like, the little girl, Isabel with the Z. She was useless. Like, I'm sorry. Her presence in the beginning was kind of starting to be cool, but aside from that and rescuing the kids from the TRF robots, she really did nothing in the movie. And then she's just kind of like on the trip in the end where it's like Hound just lets her go with him and like, okay, but what are you actually contributing to the movie? And that is the main problem with a lot of Transformer movies. It's like, and it's kind of why I miss kind of the approach of the first one, because despite how much I can't stand some of the humors and stuff within the first movie, at least pretty much most people in that movie were essential for the plot. And, you know, that was probably alright. Okay, but... And then there's the black guy who was in the junkyard. He just annoyed me, honestly. He keeps going off these really absurd mood swings, and then when he's like saying, "Oh, stand back, I'm gonna sacrifice myself," and then thinks he's dying or whatever, I'm like, it was one of the jokes that kind of like made me roll my eyes. And so honestly, I think they could have done without him in the movie. So that's about it. But I'm getting tired of talking about the human characters. Let's talk about what we actually come to these movies for. The Transformers themselves. Let's just start with the basics, I guess. Like Bumblebee. Bumblebee did a fairly good job. He's the same as he's always been. So, like, he's not really gonna go through any character growth or anything, aside from just one minor spoiler. He ends up getting his voice back, so that's about it. But aside from that, he really doesn't undergo any major character changes or development, so he's really honestly just kind of there, I guess. But I understand why he's in the movie. Then we have ourselves like Hound, Drift, and Crosshairs. They were barely in the movie, like useless pretty much. Same goes for the Dinobots. Like, the Dinobots were in this movie less than they were in Age of Extinction, which is like, what? Like, why? And I would have been fine with that if they at least like made one cool epic moment for it. Like Age of Extinction, despite how much I hated that they weren't in the movie that much, at least when they were in the movie, they pretty much stole the show. Like, it was glorious seeing them. This movie, they don't do anything. They just kind of go around like, okay. Like, they give this one thing we're in the town, and I was hoping for this so bad. And they never did it, because they were, like, so close. I wanted to see Grimlock fight Megatron. I thought that would have been epic. It probably would have made one of the coolest fights, because, like, Transformers, don't get me wrong, it's like, every Transformers movie usually has at least, like, 2 or 3 memorable sequences where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna remember that movie for this. And the problem with The Last Knight is, aside from the Optimus versus Bumblebee fight, it doesn't really have any of that. Like, heck, even Revenge of the Fallen, as much as I hate that movie, I do give credit with its memorable sequences, you know, with the Rolly bot in the beginning, and then the Force fight, and then heck, even the Egyptian like warfare that was going on. As much as it was all like explosions and stuff, the whole idea of this escorting cargo type thing was relatively memorable and interesting. If nothing else, Devastator was great. enjoyable, if nothing else, as much as Enemy Stronum. But I digress. What else do we have? Really, there's only 2 Transformer characters in here, like Autobots, that really got their writing done really well. Well, obviously Bumblebee is good, he's just the same, but the 2 introduced is actually both of the new ones, Cogman and Hot Rod. They did really good because not only were they good comedy, but they actually did some good, useful things for the sake of the plot. You know, Cogman was very helpful in the sense of a helping hand, and he really kind of was there as almost like that K2SO type character from Rogue One, where he's there to be sarcastic and add humor, but he does have a small sense of heart to him, kind of. And then Hot Rod was just cool because the way they introduced him and stuff was relatively fun. And I did like the whole little comedic thing Vivian said, like, please tell me I'm at least getting abducted by like Soundwave or Shockwave, one of the memorable ones, and I'm like, that's bloody hilarious. So they're the only ones that got it right. Hot Rod, Drift, Crosshairs, and the Dinobots, they were hardly in the movie, so no, they did not do good. Megatron in this movie had the potential to be really cool. Like, honestly, Megatron in this, first off, it has pretty much my favorite movie design of the character, like, ever. He looks incredible. He looks like a freaking beast. And he captures everything I love about Megatron by his design. And heck, even his personality is pretty good. Like, it looks like he acts like a mature version of like a G1 Megatron, and it works really well. I can even sense some of like the Transformers Prime voice in him, which is my favorite voice of Megatron. Granted, it's the same voice actor, but it's like Age of Extinction, he tried to sound like a false interpretation of like Hugo Weaving, the original Megatron voice actor in these movies. And this one, they don't repeat that. He actually kind of has more of his own identity this time. And it worked really well with the film. But like a lot of the other Transformers, his main problem is you don't see him that much. Like, the honest truth is, most people complain of how long Transformer movies are, and while I do agree with that problem, the fact of the matter is I actually do think this would have been the one film that actually would have been appropriate to have more length, if it meant seeing more of the Transformers that we don't really see much of. Because I've heard that there was supposed to be some scenes in the movie that were supposed to cover like origins with Optimus and Megatron, and I'm like, that would have worked real well with the movie. And sadly, they don't really have that. Or if they had something where like the fight between Megatron and Optimus was extended a little, because honestly, the fight between Optimus and Megatron was really amounted to nothing. It really had no purpose behind it, and it lasted for like 10 seconds. Now let's talk about the big bomb of this movie, and honestly where this movie disappointed me the most. Optimus. He's Optimus as usual, you know, like pretty much at the end of the movie he does his epic speeches, he fights like a complete awesome dude, and you know, he's voiced real well again. But the problem, I'm not having a problem with when he's good. I have a problem when they put the Nemesis Prime thing, which is, you know, Optimus evil. I was real excited to see that, because the way the trailers were marketing it, it looked like he was gonna be like that for essentially the entire movie. Like, pretty much most of the movie would be about him being evil. And he's barely evil. Like, he's only a bad guy for like one or two scenes. Like, he's only Nemesis so the fight between him and Bumblebee can happen. And as soon as that ends, with basically this anticlimactic like wording that's like Martha, which is basically just when Bumblebee speaks with his actual voice, and then Optimus all of a sudden is like, oh my gosh, I'm the good guy again. And it was stupid. I'm sorry, it was stupid. And it really wasted a lot of characters within this film, because I thought originally, because when I saw the trailers with Megatron and Optimus fighting, and in the trailer, Optimus had the purple eye, so I was thinking he was still evil. So I thought, oh my gosh, was like the humans and Megatron gonna make like a deal or something to like kill Optimus because he went evil or whatever, or something like that? Like good gosh, that would have been bloody awesome. And they don't do anything related to that. Instead, they just have Quintessa be this main villain, like this sorceress supreme, and Megatron serves her, and everything about the film lacks any sense of complexity, which is what I was hoping the film would introduce. Granted, it's Michael Bay, but it's like, I would have thought they would have gone more simple with some minor complexity. Like, stuff like Megatron teaming up with the humans to kill Optimus wouldn't be that complex. It'd be pretty straightforward. Humans see Nemesis Prime as a threat to them. They make a deal with Megatron because Megatron also wants Optimus dead so he can, conquer the world. And it would have lined up with something like that. Hopefully, they can do something like that for Transformers 6. Hopefully. And I'll explain more in the end what I personally predict Transformers 6 will be like, because I'm not going to make it in this one. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be talking about this movie anytime soon after this review. And so, what have I failed to cover? Well, Quintessa, she was alright as a villain, I guess. Like, just for a straightforward villain, I guess she's okay, but it's not like there's anything special about it. So, yeah. Let's talk about the plot twist, I guess, with Earth being Unicron. People complain about it, like, saying it's so horrible, especially since, like, Unicron's supposed to be this planet-eating machine or whatever, like, G1 purists. But I don't think it's that bad. Granted, I might be a little biased just because Transformers Prime is my favorite Transformers show. And, they also wrote in that show that Unicron was, like, the core of Earth. So I might be a little bit biased, but I think personally Unicron being the core of Earth would kind of create a cool new line of tension, because if they have it like where he's awakening and about to destroy the Earth, like awaken and then, destroy the Earth by, like, stretching out so he can free himself from Earth, then that could create some good complex stories. And then I'll just talk about my prediction now. Basically, my prediction is basically that, because we can tell at this point Megatron is an enemy of Unicron at this point. If he wasn't, he wouldn't be teaming up with Quintessa. And since the next film, I believe, is going to be directed by someone that isn't Michael Bay, I've heard in this that this is going to be Michael Bay's last Transformers movie he's directing. I hope it is, but that could change in a heartbeat, because it still makes money. But especially if it is directed by someone else, and I think even Michael Bay could be competent enough to do this. Have it where Optimus and the Autobots team up with Megatron and the Decepticons, and then have it where they, like, journey to the center of the Earth and fight off Unicron, like, basically try to destroy him, and then you could actually reintroduce the principles of, like, the Matrix of leadership, for example. Like, maybe Maybe the humans have it. Maybe Megatron has it. Maybe I don't know. Like, a lot happened between Dark and the Moon and Age of Extinction. So, and in Age of Extinction, we didn't see the Matrix once. So maybe they need to find the Matrix while Unicron's awakening and, summoning, like, these, like, Cybertronian beings that are under his control to kill the last Prime or whatever. Or, just find the Matrix and also destroy it. And then after they find the Matrix, they journey to, like, the center of the Earth. And then, they can, like, do all the good stuff that kind of Transformers Prime did, where they find the center of the Earth, use the Matrix of Leadership or whatever, and then, shut down the, Unicron. And I doubt they'll do what Transformers Prime did, where they, like, gave Optimus amnesia or something, because in Transformers Prime, Megatron basically used that to manipulate him into being a Decepticon, but since they just did the Nemesis Prime thing, I doubt they'll do it again. I think what they could do is, after that, if they do go with that plan, they could just have Megatron, maybe they could introduce the Dark Spark, maybe, and have it with the core of Unicron. It's like the Dark Spark, like the opposite of the Matrix of Leadership, and then Megatron takes that and then uses it to grant him a lot of power and raise an undead army or something, like something cool. And, you could just work from there. But as a whole, if this is going to set up a lot more movies or whatever, hopefully not directed by Michael Bay, please, it needs to at least go in a direction that can be more soothing for what makes Transformers and actually be about the Transformers. Like, I think at this point, the era of having humans as, like, the main characters needs to come to a close. Especially now, since, like, I don't think humans shouldn't be in the movie. Like, if Mark Wahlberg should come back, I guess, like him or Vivian or someone. But it's not like I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, they need to be the main character or whatever. Like, no. Optimus or Megatron or whoever needs to be the one to be the hero in the next movie, not a freaking human. So, that's my opinion, guys, of Transformers The Last Knight. Would I recommend it? If you're just in for mindless action and kind of like some fun sense of humor, like if you come in knowing you're not going to be able to take the film seriously, then yeah, I would say sure, because despite it being for the most part a pretty meh movie, it still has a lot of fun sequences and all that. And would I recommend it to anyone more than that? Like, maybe if you're a hardcore Transformers fan to the point where you'll like anything that's Transformers, then yeah, that too. And yeah, that's about it. But if you're like in for big storytelling, or if you're someone that's gonna complain if it's anything that's like different from G1, then no, I would not recommend it. If I was to give it a scale of 1 to 10, this would be easily a my Transformer fanboyism wants to give it a 7, but it is not worthy of that by any stretch of the word, because pretty much it's like, has a lot of stupid problems. So I'm gonna give it a 6. It's decent. It's slightly above average. It has good effects, good action sequences, and you can run into fun stuff, fun humor, fun things, I guess. But it's like, if you're gonna go in taking it seriously or whatever, like if you're coming in for a big, deep storytelling, then I wouldn't recommend it. If you want to watch movies like that, I would go and see like Wonder Woman or maybe War for the Planet of the Apes. Still haven't seen that movie yet, but I'll probably watch it and then review that one. So yeah, guys, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this video very much. I apologize that this content isn't necessarily the best by edits, but it's mostly just to keep things simple, because I can't really stand, like, for a movie review, especially one that's still in theaters, it's kind of hard to find clips. So that's why I've just been using art and occasionally trailers. So yeah, that's about it, guys. Yep. Have you seen Transformers The Last Night? Tell me what you think about it. Please put your thoughts in the comments, like this video, subscribe, and stay tuned to more content. Until then, thank you so much for the amount of patience and, just commitment you have to watching me. I really appreciate it, guys. These subscribers keep growing, and it means more to me than I can express in words. So, until then, guys, I'll see you next time. This is Dumb Orange 927, and peace out, guys.